But we have with us on the live line good brother who's one of those pillars in the community. I think that we need kind of where we talk about other groups of people don't unite, don't connect, not engage. We're doing everything separate. And I think he's one of those guys that kind of like a magnet that to bring everybody together. And he has some great things that he's working on, and he's bringing it to the airways, bringing it to the Live 97.5 family, and let everybody know what's going on. So what's good, brother?
What's going on with y'all? How y'all doing? Thank you so much for having me on your show.
No doubt, no doubt. So first, introduce yourself and, let the family know what you got going on.
Thank you. My name is Eric Bryant. So I have a concept that was created called We Ain't Going Back to That. And basically the concept as a whole really started before COVID. So when I was over in London back in around 2018, I found myself getting asked this question about your former president. And the question was, so what is going on with yours truly? And my response was, it's a monkey mess. It's just a monkey mess. And it kind of opened the door for people to start sharing with me their sentiments as to how they feel the things that's going on in America. So as I started to really reflect on that and just looking at the environment over in London, I found myself saying that the world is moving forward and America is moving backwards. And also being a veteran, when you live abroad, America has like this air. When you would go into any region of the world, America just has this air at that time. Well, now that's changed. And from my assessment, when people view us as Americans, they can either take you or leave you. And to be honest, they really can leave you now. But again, as I was reflecting on all this stuff, coming back to the States, it really was a different type of vibe, man. I really felt sick. When I got off the plane, I really felt sick to my stomach. Mm-hmm. But at the same token, that's when this whole concept was birthed. Because prior to that, my brand called God's Kids is a brand that is my baby, it's my calling. And that brand as a concept is focused around 6 spiritual principles that are indicative of our character and how these principles plays a very important part of your everyday walk. And those principles of love, respect, humility, forgiveness, integrity, and gratitude. And through technology and music and fashion, the goal, and this still is the goal, is to communicate those principles and how they are applicable to everything that we do in our lives, in our relationships, and our purpose that we have for ourselves, and how we engage those principles to live up to our God-given potential. So the We Ain't Going Back to That national challenge is really just an extension of that. And in order for people to really embrace that concept, we got to start dealing with what we're not going back to. Because we're in a brand new world, baby. This is a brand new world, and it's here. And in this new world, as you have probably noticed, and your listeners on your show, everything and everyone is being exposed. The truth is now coming to the surface. And with truth coming to the surface, we're all going to have to deal with that truth, whatever that is. And in order to do that, you have to first ask yourself the fundamental question, what are you not going back to? Because now it's at a place where we're not going back to racism. We're not going back to oppression. We're not going back to police brutality. We're not going back to gun violence or bullying or homophobia or violence, period. We're not going back to that. So it's time for us to stand up and speak out. So in this national challenge, the challenge of you wanted 1 million people to stand up and speak out on what they're not going back to. There is an apparel line. There's an apparel line because I do apparel and interior design. So my inspiration was to have an apparel line tied to this challenge. So when you go to the website, you get your shirt, you get your hoodie or whatever, and then you take it to the streets of social media. Because with your story that you will tell to the world, that's going to help the next brother or sister to be impacted to tell their story. Because we all have a story to tell. Because we all have something we're not going back to. And it's time for us to start coming together. So before COVID, this concept was created. Of course, COVID shut down a lot of things. So now that we are post-COVID, for lack of a better word, it's time to start moving forward. And the way that it's going to be rolled out, it's going to be a series of upscale galas that will be going across the United States. And really starting in 2023 at this point, it's time to move. So we're looking at Houston, LA, Vegas, Denver, Oakland, Orlando, and there's some other cities that we're in communications with to start getting this movement, because this really is a movement. And it's time for us to come together. But more importantly, it's time for all of us to start being organized. It's time for us as a people to galvanize and start networking, because you may have a solution to a situation that could help somebody else, but no one's bothered to ask you anything.
On live. We are live now. We on Grind City TV Network.
I be getting on another level because I think on another level. I don't sit up and I don't be like I could put names out there right now, and I'm a realist.
Santana Diamond's going to where he is dangerous. I've seen this man do some aerial moves. For a man his size, unbelievable. Has him, drops that elbow right on the chair.
It's Yours Radio, live 97.5, everything urban. Breakfast Club in the morning. Ryan Banks tonight. We have Eric Bryant with us on the live line. We ain't going back to that. And that's a great, I guess, slogan that you have. It gets right to the heart of what you guys are doing. Again, go to the website, and it's WAGBTT shop.com. We ain't going back to that. Shop.com, and that's where you can get the apparel. And I like that because you know everything is about branding and marketing, and of course that merch is always important, and so people can carry that with them everywhere they go.
Exactly, and it's getting attention. When people rock the apparel, it's going to catch someone's attention. And what I find interesting is that when I do rock the apparel, some people will have the courage. Well, let me say this. A lot of folks will stop and they'll stare. They're looking, because I can feel people's energy. That's just a gift I think that came from God. Mm-hmm. But real talk, I can feel people's energy. So a lot of folks, they really want to say something, but I feel they're too afraid to say something. Because we do live this is a different world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, indeed.
However, you will have that one person that say, what does that mean? Oh, I like that, and I'm very humbled by that. And when it first came out, it was crazy. I've had people stop me. I've had people literally buy this apparel in the middle of a street. I've had people stop me at the 7-Eleven. I used to sell these shirts out the trunk of my car. It was crazy. It was crazy. But I know it's all God-driven. Everything happens in the divine time and in the divine order. And I stand true to that. So it's not by happenstance that we are now here speaking of this issue at this moment in time, because the time is now, and it starts with us. The underbelly of this national challenge is mental health, because the reality is the world is mentally ill. And we're starting to see just how bad the world is mentally ill because it's coming out in people's behavior. And at this point, we need to start dealing with that. We need to start dealing with a fundamental question. So how has slavery impacted you mentally? Because we're still dealing with the psychological ramifications of what slavery has done to our ancestors. Okay? That's just an example. But for every issue, whether it's gun violence, police brutality, homophobia, whether it's racism, oppression, colorism, these are issues that impact each and every one of us in a very emotional way. And the goal is we got to start providing and connecting these organizations that are doing the work in the trenches with the people that needs this help. Because we all have something we're not going back to, because we all have a mountain to climb.
Yeah, indeed. It's Yours Radio, live 97.5, everything urban, Breakfast Club in the morning. Brian Banks tonight. We have with us on the live line Eric Bryant, and of course, he's with We Ain't Going Back to That. And you know, you touched on something real quick before again wrapping up the time, getting up close on time before I let you go. Because we could stay on here the rest of the show for real, because you in my wheelhouse when it comes to this topic here.
Okay.
And when you're talking about the issue of slavery that we deal with, just think about it. I don't think enough people think about this part. You know, see, I work at a school for kids with special needs. Okay, and it's run by it's a Catholic school, so the sisters and the nuns and the founder of the school is from Ireland. So she goes back to Ireland every summer, you know. And there's quite a few people within the school, of European descent, and they go back to their homeland, you know, whether it be the Netherlands, you know, even Indonesia, you know, even in Asia, you know, they know where their base is from their roots, from their families, you know. Us as blacks in America, we can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of us don't know our roots. Most of us don't. You know what I'm saying? And then, and even down to the part when you're talking about slavery, most of our last names are slave masters' last names. So every time we write our name, slavery is attached to it. So we can't separate ourselves from it, whether we want to or not. You know?
Exactly. And to comment on that, one of the disconnects that we are dealing with when it comes to Africa, just like what you mentioned, people that come from European descent, whether they're from Scotland, whether they're from Ireland, whether they're from Germany, they can always go back to their homeland to have a sense of identity as to where they come from. For us, it was different because we were snatched from our homeland against our will. Okay? Now, with that being said, the other caveat to that is truly not talked about, is that we have this perception of Africa as being this foreign place, but that's based off of the ideology of certain folks that has been conditioned to allow us to believe, let's say, for the lack of a better word, the negative stereotypes about Africa. Let me say this to your audience. Africa is a beautiful continent. Africa is not a country. It is a continent.
Right.
Okay? It is very rich in resources and other things. However, we was never taught that. And there's a wide gap between Africa and America when it comes to African Americans. So you have a valid point. We don't know where we really come from because of several reasons. But now we're in a position where we have to start educating ourselves to start bridging that gap, because that's going to help us to deal with slavery. Mm-hmm. This is a situation where we have to start coming to terms with the truth in order for us to move forward where we need to go. And that's why this whole challenge is so apropos, because we got to deal with what we're not going back to in order for us to get to where we need to go, because we all have a mountain to climb.
On live. We are live now. We on Grind City TV Network.
I be getting on another level because I think on another level. I don't sit up and I don't be like I could put names out there right now, and I'm a realist.
Santana Diamond's going to where he is dangerous. I've seen this man do some aerial moves. For a man his size, unbelievable. Has him. Oh, drops that elbow right on the chair.
It's George Radio, live 97.5, Everything Urban, Breakfast Club in the morning. Ryan Banks tonight, Eric Bryant on the live line with us. And again, before we let you go, let our listeners know about the website. Again, what exactly it is you're doing. Just give them a quick summary of it, and how they can follow you on social media as well, if you got social media outlets too.
So basically, the website, and you said the WAGBT shop. It's also the acronym, we ain't going back to that, WAGBTT.com. When you hit there, it'll give you all the information on the National Challenge. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. TikTok is coming because, again, this is a National Challenge. There's also a music track that's already out, appropriately called We Ain't Going Back to That, by my boy, the Grand Wit. The rapper Brody. It's dope. So check it out. And again, it's a national challenge. So for those who want to use that music track to say what you got to say along with your video, let it rip. You got the option to say what you need to say, how you need to say it, because it's your story. And we still live in a world, although we're in all this social media, people still feel as though they're not being heard. The galas are coming, major events next year in 2023, Houston, LA, Vegas, and the like. So more is to come. We're just getting started. But right now, hit the website, get your apparel. And it's, again, you want to challenge the next person to stand up, speak out on what they're not going back to, because we've all had enough of this, and we ain't going back to what? To that.
To that. We're talking about 1 million, man. Let's get it done. Again, great info and a great thing that you're doing. Again, any time that you want to get some information out there and let the people know if you got any changes, you got any added events or added dates, added locations, you got a home right here, and we'll put the bat signal out and we'll make it happen.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's Eric Bryant. It's Yours Radio. Take care.
Yes, sir.
Be safe out there. All right.
All right. You too.
All right.
Peace and blessings to you all and all your listeners.
Yeah. Peace.
are live now. We on Grind City TV Network.
I be getting on another level because I think on another level. I don't sit up and I don't be like I could put names out there right now, and I'm a realist.
Santana Diamond's going to where he is dangerous. I've seen this man do some aerial moves. For a man his size, unbelievable. Has him. Oh, drops that elbow right on the chair.